Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of fantasy romance and romantic fantasy. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Hmm, it's delicious. Today is Wednesday, September 29th, a special Wednesday podcast, since I am not going to be podcasting for the next 2 days. So you have to get all your podcasting juiciness in with me today. It'll have to last you through the weekend. How will you ever survive? I do not know. Actually, I appreciate many of you have made comments to me lately. It's been a little flood of them lately. It's very nice of people saying nice things about the podcast and saying that you feel like you're sitting down and having a conversation with me, which is perfect. That's how it should feel in this unscripted, unproduced podcast. So yesterday, I feel like the guy on Airplane, which is probably it's not. It's funny with movies now. You're not dating yourself so much because things have this infinite life on the streaming services. But there was a time when if you referenced a movie like Airplane, it would be very obvious uh, what era you were from. But you guys know what era I'm from anyway. Um, but with the running gag of I picked the wrong week to give up smoking, picked the wrong week to give up drinking, and then it escalates. I gave picked the wrong week to give up cocaine or I don't know what all. Um, it's a funny gag, but the last couple of days I was feeling like I needed to fix fix some of my bad dietary habits, and so I was scaling back on caffeine, sugar, and alcohol, the bad things, all the bad things. Only it occurred to me like yesterday midday when I was really feeling kind of crappy. It was like maybe I shouldn't give up all of them all at once. You think, Jeffy? Oh, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about as I periodically do doing that Whole 30 program, where you for 30 days give up all kinds of things. You don't have to give up caffeine, but you give up anything sweet, even sugar substitutes. And I drink stevia. Um, give up dairy, grains, um, alcohol, among other things. And it's a cleansing program. And, it's to sort of get you off of food dependencies and discover food sensitivities. And so that is one way to do it is to go cold turkey, but it also makes for a miserable first few days. I used to do a lot of like cleansing programs, and that's it's like day 2 or 3 are the really suckiest, and you kind of have to just plan around them. And it occurred to me, it's like I actually don't have to do it that way. I could just be like a reasonable human being and scale back, which is a good thing because David had to run to the cat store this morning. The cat store. It is the cat store, the grocery store, to buy cat food because we were out of cat food and the kitties were staging a revolt, a cute and charming revolt, but a revolt nonetheless. And David was like, "Did you know that Chocolate Maven delivers fresh pastries to the grocery store in the morning?" And he brought back fresh pastries. He brought me a cherry Danish. So it's like, huh, picked the wrong week to give up sugar. But we're going out of town anyway, and I was just trying to do a couple of days reset, which actually did help. And then I had wine last night, and it was delightful. And I'm having caffeine this morning. Although I was having caffeine, I was just trying to go. I usually have 2 lattes every day, and recently I'd scaled up where I was having the second latte. I was doing 2 Nespresso capsules in it, 2 shots. I assume it works out to like 2 shots. I don't know. And so I was doing my first caffeine shot and then making my second latte with decaf. And boy, did I notice it. But I don't have a problem. So we'll see. I might try to like maybe cut out one thing per week and scale back, or pick one thing per week to scale back on, not cut it out entirely, because life has to be worth living, right? So the secret project, I want to say I'm making up my mind, but I think I've made up my mind. Was talking about it with David on our walk this morning. I don't have the words and pages as many as Sarah wanted, but I do have it at a place where I feel like is a really good chunk and a hooky ending, and it's nice and tight and tense. And I started moving into the next section, and it's mushy, and it's writing slower than what I'd like. Doesn't it? Everything always write slower than we would like. And I don't know. I think it's going to take a fair amount of work to get the next section tight in the same way. So I think I'm just going to send her this. I'm going to send her this section and call it good. Um, because I really need to move on to other projects. So there. I really need to start working on this novella in the world of Dark Wizard, which will then segue directly into writing Gray Magic. So I want to get my head back in that world, and with the road trip coming up, it's a good time for me to mold characters. It's funny because in my early career, when I was an essayist, I wrote. You'll note, like in my first book, which is an essay collection, Wyoming Trucks, True Love, and the Weather Channel. That title still amuses me. There are a lot of essays that involve driving. Because we lived in Wyoming, which one of our former governors described as a small town with very long streets, which is not inaccurate. And we spent a lot of time driving hither and yon across the state. And I lost my train of thought. I started thinking about all those road trips. Oh, how much time we spent driving across Wyoming, often in blizzards. Oh, but that was very good thinking time for me. And that was when I was a baby writer and I had a whole lot of juice built up. That's one thing about being a newbie writer, is that you have a lot of juice built up, and that's awesome. That's great to have. Uh, and so I would think about things, and then I would go and write the essay, and it would come out in a whoosh. So there's a lot of driving related frames on some of those essays, which I think is funny. But driving is still very good for me. It's a meditative. It's a good time for me to just kind of daydream up the stories, not with my eyes closed. I know I reflexively close my eyes when I talk about that. I don't do that when I'm driving. You'll be relieved to hear. So I want to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, about plot holes. I did some mentioning about plot holes yesterday. You guys gave me some great comments. I was enjoying reading them. Uh, the I thought you guys made some really good points, saying that you shouldn't underestimate the reader, and that if the reader notices, or the viewer notices, a plot hole or a plot inconsistency later, I mean, they do notice it. And it's not the end of the world. But if you are counting on your reader to be too dumb to notice, then that probably is a bad thing. I was looking for that, like whatever that phrase is. Maybe it's refrigerator movement. Nobody told me otherwise, and I kind of tried Googling it. Instead, I came up with several articles on types of plot holes. And it was funny, like these articles were like the 6 types of plot holes, the 5 types of plot holes. Do you know what they are and how to avoid them? I'm always amused when people quantify things like this. And I know that that's partly because of the internet and clickbait. I am not articulate this morning. Blah, 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 blah. I should do vocal warm ups before this. It's not going to happen, reader. Um, it's the clickbait thing where apparently people click on stuff that has like numbers. They want to know the 5 plot holes to avoid. Um, I mean, don't you guys want to know what they are now? It's not even that. It's not that concise. It was like character is inconsistent characterization, or I don't even remember what they are. They weren't that scintillating, seriously. But I was amused that there was like this whole 5 types of plot holes. Uh, Having characters being consistent is obviously a big one for me. I bitch about it a lot. Uh, it was interesting because one of the ones I saw was from screenwriting, and they were bringing up movie examples, and they were talking about like one world building inconsistency that was established. They say established in Star Wars, and I don't feel like Star Wars was the first to do it, but the explosions in space, that we all know that you don't get a big billowing explosion in space because there's no air, but that we accepted it because it looks so great on the screen. And they said that what would have been a plot hole was if in subsequent movies they had stopped doing that. I was like, well, I mean, I guess I could see that the most important thing is to set up your world rules and stick to them. I would say, oh, bush tits are here. The bush tits are awesome. Listen, hear them? I don't know if you could hear them very well. They're little tiny birds. Maybe one will hop into the screen, and they travel in big flocks, and they come in and they hop around, and they are ebullient. One of my favorite words. They are just irrepressibly happy little birds. That's great. So, bush tits distracted me. Oh, world building rules. I mean, sometimes it can be a real bitch because you like threw out some sort of casual world rule in your first book for no good reason at all. Those are the ones that really burn me later because it's like, why? Why did I throw that out there? Like I can't even think of a good example, but it's like I'll just throw in this little detail because I think it's a cool detail. And then like 3 books later, it's like, damn it, past Jeffy. Why? Why did you say that the world was this way? But you don't get to just change it. Um, because that's when you really run into problems. You have to live with it. And I kind of look on it like, um, and I know I'm weird, but I look on it like a math problem, or like did you guys have to compose sonnets in school? Like these very rigid poetic forms where you have to rhyme, every other line, and you have to deal with certain cadences, and only so many uh, beats in each line and so forth. It's like it can be fun to do that exercise of conforming to a rigid structure, and like a puzzle. It's kind of like a puzzle. And so I look on the world building stuff that way. If you've set up a world building rule that is causing you grief later, then that's your riddle to solve to work your way around it. The other thing I want to talk about is ads. And I know I touch on this frequently. It just seems to be coming up more and more and more. And I was talking with some of the Pharaoh gals on the Discord. Hi, gals. Uh, Last night because one was feeling sad about not getting Amazon ads to work and feeling like a failure. Feeling like, everybody else gets Amazon ads to work, and why am I, what's wrong with me? So, first of all, not everybody gets them to work. Uh, the, and then also, and I mentioned this, and they were kind of surprised, so I'm going to mention it here too, that some of the people, the writers out there who really talk up ads and say, that they spend money on ads and that they make twice of it, twice, their investment back. And so they're really enthusiastic about it. They, these people are spending, I mean, I know people who are spending about $20,000 a month on ads. Okay. $20,000 a month. And other people talk about spending 100,000 to 200,000 a year, which is in that same ballpark. And they'll say, yes, but I made twice that back. So it's totally worth it. And they get there by scaling up, so it's really intimidating when you hear that kind of number and you think I cannot possibly spend $20,000 a month. That's like how much I'm making annually on my books, full stop. But they do talk about it in terms of scaling up. You start with like $5 and $10 and 20. But the thing is ad buying doesn't work for everybody. That's point one. It doesn't work for all books. Not all ad spaces work for everybody. And you have to keep in mind that you are competing with, this is the marketplace now, is the internet. And I do feel very old and cane shaky when I say this, but I do remember when the internet came to be. I remember using A1 mail when I was in graduate school, and it was remarkable that you could send electronic letters to people. um, I remember the first time that someone, this is actually kind of funny, uh, because I lived in this small town in Wyoming and I needed a dress for a Christmas party, and it was wintertime and our roads were closed, and I was busy and I couldn't drive an hour through blizzards. There's a theme today, isn't there? To get to a store to buy a dress for this party. And somebody suggested to me, well, why don't you buy one online? Because there's this newfangled thing. I swear, you guys, this is like a real conversation. And I don't know if I sound like, the whole walking to school uphill in the snow both ways. Um, but yeah, whoever it was that said, yes, you can actually buy dresses online. You can shop for things online and put your credit card in and buy them. And we're all like, whoa, you do what with your credit card? What? I mean, it was a funny time. And I did try to shop for a dress on there, and it was such a freaking mess. You guys have no idea what the early searches were like. It would just bring up loads of garbage. And the funny story is, like I would be at work, um, and I had a very laid back office, so that was fine. I worked in with a petroleum group as an editor writer, and Bare Naked Ladies, the band, was going to be on tour, and I wanted to get Bare Naked Ladies tickets. And so I typed in to, I think Hotbot was the search engine of choice then, and I typed in Bare Naked Ladies tickets, and it started. There was this thing then where it would like auto open windows, and all of these porn sites started popping up because, of course, early adoption on the internet was about porn. The internet is for porn. If you can identify that, you get a cookie. Um, but I mean, it was like 20, 10, 20, 30 windows popping up with these bare naked ladies. Right? I was like, And I was like, they were, I couldn't close them as fast as they were popping up. It was terrible. It was funny. Anyway, so, like before the internet, all advertising was in magazines, newspapers, and television, like broadcast TV. And a lot of people had cable TV at that point. Um, and especially in our small town in Wyoming, we had cable or satellite TV because you just couldn't get broadcast through the antenna. And cable TV was exciting, and because you'd pay for it, and that meant you didn't get ads. That changed, of course, over time. Now you pay for things and you get ads. But it's been very interesting to watch this evolution. I'm probably going to go long today, but that's good because I won't be talking for the next couple of days. So, so it's been interesting to watch this migration as the advertisers figured out that not many people are watching broadcast TV anymore, which is why they started figuring out to put ads in uh, your cable and streaming services. And that people weren't reading magazines and newspapers in the volumes that they were anymore, but that everybody was looking at the internet. And so they're all figuring out how to advertise on the internet. So when you are buying Amazon ads or um, why am I blanking on this? Facebook ads uh, or Twitter and so forth, you are competing with the industry giants like Walmart and, Mercedes and, like whoever all is putting their ads in your Instagram feed. I mean, you sort of look at these, some of them are these little funky places, but then you're also getting ads from the giants because and they are throwing, I promise you, more than a couple 100,000 a year at advertising, and you're competing with them, which, I mean, can you? Some people are making it work. But, and I was talking about this the other day, that it's a puzzling business model to me. If you spend 20,000 in hopes of making 40,000 or 20,000 profit, and that's like your best case scenario, which is a lot of money and that's great. But why not spend any ad money and make like 10,000? Um, because and I can tell you that's what I do. Um, I mean that's a really good month, but uh, on a release month with a really good release, yeah, I can make that much, and that's not spending any money on ads. I have just never spent money on ads because I don't like it. I've tried it from time to time. I took a class on Facebook ads because I thought, okay, I need to learn how to do this. And it didn't work for me. I tried it a little bit and I got tired of like throwing my money at Facebook, who I hate anyway. It's like, why am I giving money to Zuckerberg? Um, who I believe may be the actual spawn of Satan, except I think that's an insult to Satan. Um, I don't know some of the stuff that's coming out with Facebook stuff and um, the ways that they have used user data and violated privacy is just it's just awful. It's just awful, and I feel like we're all compliant in that, especially if we've been giving money to Facebook. And we have to pause for a sec. The sun is coming over the wall. That's what I get for talking too long. Anyway, I remember in the early days of when I was first publishing, and this was like my first book from Karina Press came out in 2011, so 10 years ago. It seems both longer ago and shorter. But like we would go to conferences, and Karina was the digital imprint for Harlequin, and they would have these workshops and seminars for us, teaching us about how do you use Facebook, because we had to be taught how to use it then. Um, because I think I started using Facebook in like 2009. I know that's when I joined Twitter. So, these things have not been going on all that long in the grand scale, right? And one thing that you learn is that these things wax and wane. And so, I remember being at this Harlequin workshop where they were teaching us about Facebook, and they were saying, well, you have to have a Facebook page. You have to have one. You'll be glad to have one. And already by then, I was like, and this is for those of you who don't know, it's like a page as opposed to a profile. So, profile is what you have personally. Like mom, what you have is a Facebook profile. Uh, but for if you have a business, they want you to have a page, and a page is just set up totally differently, and it's all geared towards you paying for shit. I mean, that's like what Facebook has been about for a very very long time. They want you to they want to monetize, and that's why they want you to have the page. And so Harlequin was all about, oh, you need to build up likes and followers on your page, and that's where it's going to be. And even then, I wondered. I was like, I don't know if I want to get locked into this. And I've always put more emphasis on my profile because I've always put most of my emphasis on personal connection on social media. That's why I like it that you guys feel like you're sitting down and talking to me, because that's what I'm about. I would much rather have the personal connection and have a smaller reach, smaller audience, if that's what it takes, than to, be spending um, hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to double that money in order to reach the nameless, faceless. So I don't know. That might have been a little bit of a longer and formless discussion. Did it make sense? Uh, from the very beginning, there were those of us, because it was really kind of a good get to get published with Karina. And there were people who were asking me, like, how did you get published with Karina? Because it's really hard. And they took a chance on me because I wrote cross genre. And so, in a way that the traditional publishers would not, because they had bigger overhead and wanted bigger numbers. And it was a really flush time. It was a gold rush. And that's when a lot of people were making money self-publishing, and ebooks were huge. And, it was like digital imprint at Harlequin. We were all so excited. And there were people who were like putting everything into pushing that book. They were, it's like, oh, I want this book to be a bestseller. I want it to be a hit. And all along I thought, because at this point, I had already been writing for 7 years. Um, no, more than that. Okay, so my first book, the essay collection, came out in 2004, and I think my first essay was published in '94. So I know I've been around. That's why I shake my cane. Um, so I already knew that it wasn't gonna, some people get the lightning, and they hit it big early on. But otherwise, most of us were in it for the long game. And I thought, even then, this is a long game. And the secret on the long game is put your energy into writing the books. And over time, with internet marketing becoming such a big thing, and it's kind of like multi-level marketing, there's a bit of shysterness to it, you guys. And so there's so much emphasis on this: advertise, advertise, pay for ads, and double your money. But these are people who are coming at it from a marketing perspective. And I think most of you are not marketers. Every once in a while, there's someone who is. But, frankly, if you want to do marketing, go get a job with an advertising firm. Go do marketing, because they'll pay you a salary and they'll give you benefits, and you're guaranteed to make more money. If you are not someone who really wants to do marketing for a living, but you actually want to write books for a living, put the lion's share of your attention on writing books. Write more books. That's the long game. The more books you have, the more of an audience you will build, the more of a backlist you have to work with. People read one book of yours and then they go back and read them all. I learned that very early on from another author who gave me advice, that she said the secret to writing full time for a living, to having enough of an income stream that you can do that, is to have a hearty backlist. And she was absolutely right. Uh, so don't come at this like the marketers, because they're just looking to cash in. You're not looking to cash in, or if you are, go find a different widget to sell. Go sell Lularoe leggings. Well, maybe not those. Pick something else. But you get my point. But if you want to be a writer, if that's what you want your career to be, then focus on writing the books, and don't don't pay attention to all this marketing stuff, because if you want to play with ads, great. If it's working for you, great. But it's not the be all and end all. Thus endeth the sermon. I will remind you all that First Cup of Coffee is part of the Frolic Media Podcast Network, and you will find other podcasts there that you might love at frolic.media/podcasts. And I will talk to you all on Monday. Have a fabulous weekend, a fabulous next couple of days of work, and go write those stories, okay? Bye bye.